Hello! I want to talk this morning about stuff. I'm shooting from the hip here, so probably sound mostly retarded, but I think I'll get my point across. I think. Maybe not. And otherwise, I'll just waste about 10 minutes of your time, maybe less. I'll try to make it quick. Looking at following the Tom Brady story, and I am not really into sports. My opinion is it's a bread and circus, waste of time. I mean, cool under normal circumstances, but when countries crumbling, more important things, blah, blah, blah. It's just an outlet on purpose so people can ignore and whatever. Another video. The reason I follow loosely the Tom Brady Gisele Bundchen thing is because I'm interested in the psychology behind what people do, why they do it, and blah, blah, blah. So, and I'm building to a point. She divorced him last year, I believe, and they were together for a long time, at least, I think it was 15 years. 10 years ago, now remember, Tom Brady loves football. It's obvious. Remember, actions, not words. It's obviously he loves football more than anything else in life. I watched his own documentary about how he stays up all night. He spends like 1 or 2 hours with the family, and then he would go up to his own, lock himself in his office and study film all night and just never see them almost, so it's obviously he prioritized football over everything. And I also want you to keep in mind that Gisele is worth like 300 million. She's not one of those like, oh, I need him. She makes way more than him. And yet she did the stay-at-home mom thing, which I always used to talk shit about that too, but it's not a walk in the park, trust me. Staying home and doing the kid thing is well, if you're an actual parent who raises their kids correctly and doesn't park them in front of the fucking idiot box all day, then it's a rough deal, kind of. So, and then 10 years ago, he told her he was going to retire. And, year after year, I want to play football. I want to win. I got to, whatever is the psychological issue that was stuck in his craw that, whatever it was. So basically, he destroyed everything else in his life, the real important stuff, your family, because he wanted to work/play a game. I know several people who own businesses, and while I'm envious of them in some regard, they spend all their time at their businesses because that's what's required. If you open a business and you think you're going to get someone else to just manage it, and no, it doesn't work like that. You're going to close up shop in 6 to 9 months, roughly. Someone else isn't going to care about your business like you would. So these people that I know, these guys spend, 18 hours a day, in some fashion with their business, and they don't get to see their families that much. And, it's the typical story, 2.5 kids, McMansion, blah, 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 boats, all this stuff. But the wives aren't happy. The kids aren't getting raised right. Guy comes home and he's all wound up from work and miserable and yells at them, and and a couple of them do that, a couple of them do other things. And I'm not trying to talk shit. It's just an observation after all this time. So let me tell you something. My dad's friends. My dad's getting up in age, he's almost 70, but actually today he's 70. Happy birthday, Pops. About 15 years ago when they were 55, my dad retired when he was 48. He just played things right and he was smart. All his friends kept working, right? And they made tons of money. And he told them what to do. How to retire, to pay off your house, don't have any bills, and you can live on next to nothing. You'd be surprised how much you can live on when you live within your means, below your means. Oh, they still wanted to buy the new stuff and blah, 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 but then they would bitch about work, and they're starting to creep up in age. Remember, this was 15 years ago. Get up to 60, 65, and they're still working. And it's because people don't understand. Because when you're younger, you don't get this. I didn't get this until semi-recently. Your body gets older and you get fucked up, even at the age of 40. 44, holy, 44. Your body starts crapping out on you. Your brain, though, mostly doesn't grow up. Sorry to break it to you. Well, not sorry. I mean, the women don't want to hear that from the guys, but it's the truth. I mean, you get more responsible, or at least you should. But I still Do. So the problem is people think they're going to live forever, despite looking in the mirror every morning. Because I think it's the psychology of it, because it's such a gradual change. Like if you didn't see yourself for 20 years, like in a mirror when you were 20 and then 40, you'd be like, holy shit, I'm going to die. I'm getting old. But people think they're going to live forever, and they never think it's going to happen to them. Like, oh, I can't die. But then, let me tell you something. As someone who knows, when you almost die, you don't stare up on your back looking at the ceiling going, damn, I wish I worked more. Well, I'm sure there's 1 or 2% of the population that really loves their job. I had a job once, well, a portion of my job, where I was going in a different direction, and I loved it. I didn't need an alarm clock to wake up. I stayed late. It just was awesome. But I was more time away from my family. So that's what you gotta kind of get, that I don't think a lot of people get. Most of you aren't gonna be in your deathbed or get up in age to where you're decrepit and go, oh, I wish I worked more. You're gonna be like, wow. I wasted a lot of my life, all my life. Especially if it costs you your family or whatever. Again, I'm not trying to wag my finger at you. This is kind of hopefully a wake-up call to, I know not even a lot of people are going to see this. Maybe in the future some will, but God willing. Because, and there's another aspect to look at it too. Like keeping up with the Joneses, all this stuff is done deliberately to get you, oh, you gotta buy this. Commercialism everywhere. You need this. And the way, you look at the psychology of commercials, it's fascinating how the things they do, the colors, the musics, the fakeness of the commercial, the psychology of, oh, if you don't buy this, you're not part of the cool group, or that stuff's all engineered down to the very last bit of it. Very last bit of it is made to make you feel inadequate or left out if you don't buy their product. And it's all over. So you got people working overtime or 2 jobs so they can have their Escalades and all their stuff. 2 minutes, like I was just watching this guy. It's one of the YouTube channels I watch. And he had this big McMansion built. And it's impressive. It's got all the stuff you need inside of it. He's like, oh, I get to relax here. You get to relax here and have friends over. And it's like, why do people fool themselves like that? Dude, this guy works constantly. He's never at this house. So what? Relax when? Never? What's a big house? I had a big house. It fucking sucked. It was expensive in the bills. It was expensive to maintain. It was in a track, so my neighbors literally probably 10 feet, roughly. Yeah. On both sides of me. Luckily, they were good. But, ish. It was a nightmare. Clean. Unless you're a fucking slob. We were cleaning it constantly. And I employ the use of the robot Roombas. And they're good. But they're not perfect. They're a supplement. A good supplement. But, so anyway. Work, get more. And that stuff never makes you, if you're anything like me, it's even more like, I see something, I'm like, oh, that looks cool. And I really get into it. And then I order it. And the anticipation, then I get in the mail, open it up, and after almost a couple days, maybe, it depends on what it is, and then I'm like, it sits in the corner. That's how I used to be anyway. It's just, you've been conditioned to buy stuff you don't need, and that takes away from the things that are important, like your family. And we all know what happens to society when family goes out the window. Why do you think there's so much, anti-man, anti-family, and now it's fucking, oh, you don't need to be a boy or a girl. I can't even begin to know where to start to go into the ignorance and psychology of people actually thinking they're born and grow. My brain the gears just kind of came to a halt. Now I won't even get into that. But anyway, yeah, I would consider reevaluating your life if you're truly happy, hey, go nuts. But deep down, you know whether you're truly happy or not. And if you're not, I'd suggest making changes, especially the way the world's turning, man. When I was younger, I'd see all the news stuff, and I don't watch the news anymore. Some still filters through. Everybody's like, well, if you don't watch the TV, which I don't at all, ever. How do you get, trust me, you're not going to know anything. Well, what do I need to know? Everybody's like, oh, did you hear what happened in Russia, Ukraine? I go out and I'm like, what's more important, really? Let's think about this. Are you more worried about what you're going to eat for dinner tonight? Or Susie's basketball game, what time you got to wake up to get there? Or are you worried about what happens in Russia and Ukraine? Well, nuclear bombs! Yeah. Booga booga. Scare. Fucking reevaluate what's important in your life. Reevaluate if you're happy truly or not. Don't forget to brush your teeth. Yeah, I think I've spewed out enough drivel for right now. If it helps you out, great. If you think I'm a moron, I am. Either way, I hope you have a nice day.